Hey guys, we're going to try out something kind of cool today. We're going to be using a little bit of ballistic gel from some good friends over at Clear Ballistics. They make a really different, unique kind of ballistic gel. It's a little bit different than the old kind where you had to cook everything and recook it, or it rotted and it started to stink and break down. A lot different type of process right here, and we're going to show you how effective it is as far as on the range of shooting it. What we're going to be shooting is some of G2 Research's R.I.P ammo. You've probably heard a lot about this ammo. People kind of get it confused. It's not, R.I.P does not stand for rest in peace. This is actually a self-defense round, a personal defense round. It's actually, the R.I.P stands for radically invasive projectile. So for the misconception that R.I.P stands for rest in peace, let's get that out of the way right now. There's a little bit of misconception, I believe, that when you shoot any kind of round like this in the house or at anything else, that it just busts up and blows completely apart. The whole purpose of this round is for it to break up some, but it's to do that in order to give the projectile several different areas that it's actually hitting in, not for it to dissipate or fragment into nothing. It's still generating or sending that energy into its target and utilizing it there rather than losing it all as soon as it hits the target.
This 92 grain solid copper 9mm R.I.P round is a thing of beauty. At 1250 feet per second, it packs a serious punch with up to 14 to 16 inches of penetration and around 6-inch diameter spread of the petals once it penetrates. Its unique petaled trocar design gives it the ability to not only penetrate deep into its target, but to also fragment upon entry. Here you have a 100% lead-free self-defense round with up to 9 separate wound channels that it creates upon entry. But enough about the R.I.P round. Let's see what it does when you fire the thing. We set up at our standard 7-yard distance, which is your basic average of a confrontation of a self-defense scenario.
Yeah. Okay, what we're going to do first, we're going to simulate this R.I.P round going through sheetrock here. We wanted 2 pieces of sheetrock out here. Now we wanted our space in between to somewhat simulate a wall. Obviously this space is going to be a little bit more than your standard wall would be, a 2x4 wall, but nevertheless it's going to give you that gap in between so that both pieces of sheetrock are not back to back whenever we make this shot. So we just steadied it a little bit here to kind of keep it in place. But again, 2 pieces of sheetrock here, and we want to simulate if you were shooting this round inside your home, what does it do through the wall? Does it penetrate the wall, and what goes through to the other side once it makes it through both pieces of sheetrock?
We loaded up our custom KM3 Solutions 6-hour Legion with the 92 grain R.I.P rounds. We were going for accuracy here too.
All right, that was a pretty cool exercise with the sheetrock. Come check this out. If you notice on the front over here, it's about one of the cleanest holes that I've probably ever seen go through a target, sheetrock, or anything like that. A perfectly clean hole. Coming out the back side of it's a little bit more messy, but that's just because it was pushing out. The bullet had actually not broken apart or started to open yet, because look at the second piece of sheetrock right here. You can actually see the marks of the CNC copper as it still entered into the second piece. So clearly the projectile itself had not broken up any. It was just as intact on the front side and the back side. So it's kind of cool. I mean, I wish we had something behind it. Oh, guess what? We've got ballistic gel. Let's make this shot again. I'm really curious to see if that round started to expand or break apart at all when it exited the second piece of sheetrock. Guys, if you'll notice, this Clear Ballistics gel comes completely intact. It's actually not something that you have to make yourself or, quote, bake yourself. It's actually pretty cool. Big change in how ballistics gel is being used right now. I would imagine a lot of the old ballistic gel companies are going to probably have to put something synthetic like this out anyway themselves to be able to compete. Because the downside to using ballistics gel in the past was the fact that you pretty much had to cook it and prepare it yourself and not get it like this. This ships like this. So as you see, this came in the mail exactly like you see it right here. It came directly in the mail like this. So this is a product that, in my opinion, I can use a lot. Guys, that was a pretty cool demonstration. As you saw, it went through both pieces of sheetrock, and it actually carried some of the sheetrock dust. So you can see the whiteness in the wound canal as it comes through the gel. You can see where it drags some of that in here. The same basic hole that we see in the drywall, but as you can see, it definitely broke up. It came in very, very clean, extremely clean, It came into the gel. It entered the gel just like it probably was entering this wall right here. But immediately, I'd say, if I had to guess, an inch, 3/4 of an inch, it started to expand and break apart. Cool thing is, this is what, a 6-8 inch piece of gel right here. Almost all of the petals, if you will, of the R.I.P ammo stayed inside here. What that's telling me is you're going to be safe using this as a self-defense round, because as it gets in something like this, you're not going through the target, the attacker. You're not going to be worried about shooting the person behind them. Pretty cool. The gel makes it really cool, but the round, being able to see how this round is going to work and how it's going to be activated once it actually hits something that allows it to expand. That round kind of needed something like this in order to give it that capability to expand. But wow, what a cool look that it has inside there. We're going to do some other stuff now. We're going to shoot at some plywood. Just curious to see if this round does go through plywood. We're also going to shoot at a cinder block to see what that does. So let's take a look at the plywood real quick.
The plywood we're working with today is a standard piece of 3/4 inch CDX plywood from our local lumber yard.
Again, as you can see, guys, it went straight through the plywood and it came out. We're just not sure how it came out. It does appear, based on the holes here, if you look, Cole, it looks like it broke up a little bit as it came out, I suppose. It's hard to tell. I don't see any of the copper in there. So I believe it all came out. Let's shoot this again. We'll put the gel behind it and see if the gel catches any of the fragments in there, as I'm sure it will. We'll do that same setup like we just did.
We used our same gel block as the sheetrock so that we could compare both of the wound channels once we finished.
We get it. Looks like I shot high. Oh, we got it. It definitely comes through. Wow, look at the plywood it brought in with it. Man, it took a ton of plywood in with it. But look at the wood it brought in. I tell you what, it's very, very much just like the sheetrock. Very similar to the sheetrock. I mean, that test is so close as far as how it busted up. Now, I will say the pieces look a little bit different. There's actually two of them still together right here that traveled through the same wound cavity to right here. Let's shoot a cinder block next, and if we go through the cinder block, we'll do the same thing, and maybe we'll have a really cool piece of block here with drywall, plywood, and a cinder block.
Watch it.
I'm shooting to that right side cavity too. Let's shoot this other side over here. See how I shot kind of high?
Mm-hmm.
Let me shoot a little bit lower.
Watch it. Pop it.
Now that made a prettier hole. No, it didn't go through, but it blew the back out of it just from the concussion of it. Look on the inside. All right, the R.I.P ammo does not go through cinder block. I'm sure I've seen some shots where it does. This is one of those really compact cinder blocks. Now you pick a cinder block up and one feels really light, one feels really heavy. I'm sure there's some guys out there at work construction that can tell me why. This is one of the real dense ones, one of the real heavy ones. So as you see, it damaged the front, and it actually damaged the back from the force. Hitting the front made the back kind of fall out a little bit, but it did not go through. There is no hole through the cinder block itself. So we're not going to do a ballistics test, gel tests behind this. So you definitely have some stopping power with a cinder block if you're trying to stop an R.I.P round.
Next up, we wanted to try to simulate heavy clothing, so we used a denim jacket to go over this piece of gel block so that we could fire into it, again, to simulate somebody wearing a jacket or a coat.
All right, as you can see, the denim didn't make much difference. Now, I say it didn't make much difference because it looks like the other two guys that we just shot here with the drywall and the plywood. What I mean by it didn't make much difference is it did not slow it down. I think some people may be thinking that the petals can somehow be stopped with a heavy cloth of some sort. Definitely it does not slow down as a result of that. What we'll do now is we're going to shoot this long ways to get the full projectile through the side, and we're going to get a real close look at that, just shooting directly into it without any kind of anything stopping it or anything like that, and try to get a good picture of what this round looks like when there's nothing, no barrier whatsoever slowing it down or trying to stop it.
So we unpacked a fresh new piece of clear ballistics gel, and we were going to put this thing sideways, lengthways if you will, to allow this R.I.P. round to enter from one end and go all the way through it with zero obstruction slowing this thing down whatsoever. We were going to get the full effect of what this round does when it enters gel. At regular speed, it's cool. At 600 frames per second, it's impressive. You'll notice that I lost some of the energy of the round because I shot high on the gel block, so the round didn't go in as far as it should have. So since we had room in the gel block, we went for a second shot. As you can see, this one was much more where it was supposed to be.
All right, friends, you'll notice we took a second shot. This is my first shot right here. It's a little bit high. Probably a little bit nerves knowing this is our last gel block. But this is my second shot that I took. Same distance, same round, same everything. You will notice that the petals peel off right back in this area on both shots. This is actually the base of the bullet. This is the base, the backside of the bullet where the petals are actually affixed to. The base fires straight through and continues to move on through on both shots. If you notice, this one stops a little bit farther back, about 1.5 inches farther back from this one. If you notice right here, it appears that the round tumbled a little bit. The projectile may have twisted or tumbled. It's kind of a little butterfly looking look right there. That no doubt slowed it down. You see that there's nothing. There's no imperfections whatsoever. It's just a straight shot on this second shot as far as the base of the bullet going straight through. So obviously my guess is there with a little bit less friction of the tumble right here, this round goes a little bit farther. They seem pretty consistent. You'll notice the petals break off at the same position in both of them. Again, they pretty much come in at the same, I don't know, inch and a half, and then the petals begin to break off and really spread out. I mean, you're talking about, oh gosh, a good 4.5, maybe 5 inches right there from petal to petal as far as the distance where they actually break off. Pretty interesting round here. Definitely the R.I.P. round is an interesting round to look at. It's no doubt one that's fun to shoot. We'll have to try to figure out some other cool things that are fun to shoot at. But definitely the gel test is a lot of fun. I recommend you guys get you some gel and try it out. They've got some other rounds G2 Research does too. They've got a Civic Duty and a Talos round that you've got to get your hands on. We'll have some reviews coming up on those very soon. Interesting rounds as well.